So I don't know anything about you.
Okay. I work for.
So I don't know.
Oh, sorry. My name is Edward Snowden. I go by Ed.
That the person responsible for one of the greatest national security leaks in recent American history apparently insisted that his identity be made public after he fled the country.
In 2013, I didn't know who Edward Snowden was. I had no idea he would become the whistleblower responsible for the biggest leak of top secret documents in history. Not long after, Hollywood came calling.
This is everything I have. They're going to figure out what I've done.
Did you access an unauthorized program?
Despite being exiled from his home country, Snowden is now living a relatively normal life in Moscow.
Yeah, right.
He invited me to come out here to discuss the release of his memoirs, Permanent Record. He's usually shy about talking about his private life, but in the book he talks freely for the first time about his relationship with his partner, Lindsay Mills. When she came to the door in Moscow, you said that you were braced for a slap in the face.
I mean, what would you do? You're married. If you ran out on your wife, if she sees you on the news, you're now wanted and can't come home again. And then months later, you see her. What would you expect? She's so much more than I'll ever deserve.
I mean, when did you first meet?
There's this, like a site called hotornot.com. It was the most vain and basic readable thing in the world. And if you saw someone that you thought was attractive who was near you, you'd say, I'm interested in meeting this person.
Who did you rate her?
She was a 10.
What did she rate you as?
Not a 10. But high enough that she clicked the meet me button.
The way she was treated in the media, how do you feel about that?
Lindsay's always been a much more complex figure than I think the media was ready to grapple with. They saw that she had been a pole dancing instructor, and things. There were videos on YouTube of her doing performances, and they're like, "Oh, she must be a stripper," because they reduce women to these sexualized objects. This sort of supporting role. They didn't look at her complexity. They didn't look at the fact that she's a photographer. They didn't look at the fact that she's a poet. They didn't look at the fact that she's a political being whose politics, in fact, shaped my own.
You're right about, when you go out in Moscow, you change your appearance a bit by, not wearing glasses or shaving or wearing a scarf or a hat. Why is it necessary to take these precautions? Are you scared that the CIA are going to snatch you, or what are you worried about?
Well, I don't actually live that way anymore. I go around much less incognito. But you have to remember that in the 2013 moment, I very much was a person, the most powerful government in the world, wanted to go away. They didn't care whether I went away to prison. They didn't care about whether I went away into the ground. They just want to be gone, and they wanted me no longer speaking. But I'm not going to let any kind of concern for what makes my life easier, for what makes my life safer, allow me to be less free.
You've traveled around Russia now, St. Petersburg.
I've been to St. Petersburg, I've been to Sochi. I love traveling, I still do, even though I can't cross borders now. One of the things that's lost in all of the problematic politics of the Russian government is the fact that this is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. The people are friendly, the people are warm. And when I came here, I didn't understand any of this. I was terrified of this place because, of course, they were the great fortress of the enemy. How do you think a CIA agent looks at Russia? And it was never my plan to be here. But with time, with open eyes, you can see that our presumptions about a place are almost always different from the reality of it.
I went to Starbucks.
Yeah.
And there's a Krispy Kreme place.
Yeah, what people don't realize about Russia is you can get basically all the same things you can get in the United States. They got Burger King, they got McDonald's, they got Krispy Kreme.
I've got some in the cupboard there if you want one.
The only thing they don't have in Russia is Taco Bell.
Ah. Can you go out and converse to people in Russian? Is it good enough for that?
As long as I've been sort of alive, a real thinking, breathing being, you know, from adolescence onward, my life has been mediated by a screen. So when you ask about my daily life, yeah, I go out, I go to restaurants, friends come to visit, I have great conversations. But I'm an indoor cat, and that's by choice.
I mean, how big a danger is Donald Trump?
We have moved into a time where people care much more deeply about feelings than they do about facts. And this is a dangerous moment for democracies, because people believe that once we have achieved and established a free and open society, that it will remain that way and will always be there. But the reality is things can backslide very quickly, and we have seen democracies fall in just a matter of a few years.
In the book, you come to the conclusion that, you know, maybe talking about surveillance, legislative change might not happen. So maybe the best way to resist is through sort of mass international protest, you know, in the way like Extinction Rebellion or Occupy Wall Street. I mean, that's basically what you're advocating now. Has that changed?
When our political systems are being slanted to deny us influence, when our economic systems are being shaped to prevent us from having an equal opportunity to benefit from the production that has been created, we need people to recognize these problems, understand these problems, and then to be willing to give something up to change that problem. This is what we're struggling with on climate. This is what we're struggling with on so many fronts. Yes, people can believe that mass surveillance is wrong. Yes, people can believe that climate change is an enormous threat facing the future not of a country but of the planet. But it's not enough to believe in something. You have to be ready to stand for something if you want it to change. And so that is what I hope this book will help people come to decide for themselves. Are you ready for this to change?
I would say the last year has been a reminder that democracy may die behind closed doors, but we as individuals are born behind those same closed doors. And we don't have to give up our privacy to have good government. We don't have to give up our liberty to have security. And I think by working together, we can have both open government and private lives. And I look forward to working with everyone around the world to see that happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.